Alright, we are jumping on. Come here. Alright, hello everybody. I'm just adjusting my microphone just so we can get going. So, welcome everybody. We are live. I'll give it a second if anyone. We're gonna jump on right at 4:30. So, stream is open. Everybody, welcome. Come on in. We got a fun board today. So awesome. Just making sure. So, all right. I'll kind of get this one. I'll give it probably another minute, folks, before we really kind of jump on in. But we got a lot of goodies going on today. So, ew, a Darien board. I know, right? It's crazy. I know. So, all right, friends. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be working on the DN Works 02. One thing that's really cool about this, I know you totally don't own one. I love it. So, everybody, what we're going to be doing today is going over the Darien Works DN02. We're going to be building it here on stream. What's really cool about this board is specifically designed and themed around GMK Darling. So, I picked up GMK Darling when it ran on R2 on Group Buy, probably I think earlier this year or late last year. So I picked up the set as soon as I saw this board last year when it was in concept and prototyping. I knew it was a board that I really wanted, and GMK Darling was a set I wanted. Before they ran R2, it was just absurdly expensive. Like, this set was like $500 on Mech Market. It was ridiculous. So when Novel Keys eventually ran R2, I knew I wanted to pick up the whole set. So I picked up the base set. I have the aluminum novelty. I also picked up the spacebar kit, and I also picked up all the novelties. So this is only a 65% board. We're not going to use all this crap, but I just want to have the whole set. And we also got the Hiragana base as well, so which is going to be really cool. So I essentially got the whole GMK Darling set. So really cool board. So I'm really excited to have this board on hand, and we're going to get building it, which is going to be really cool. So I'll put the GMK set to the side. We're going to basically use keycaps until the very end, and most of the focus is going to be on the board. Now, in terms of the O2, another thing we're going to kind of go through is switch selection. So this is a really cool board. So we're going, since this is a pink themed board, I wanted to do some pink switches to kind of fill the theme in. So we're going with Gateron Boxing V2s. These are linear switches with a 50-gram actuation force. These are really cool switches from Gateron. They're really freaking expensive for Cherry MX switches, but I think that's going to give the board a really nice sound. Which is going to be really nice. So I'll kind of show you the configuration of the board I got. I literally haven't opened it. I just took the case out of the shipping box that it came in today. So I literally got this today. Darien, I think, just shipped these out. So let's open it up. So we got the DN Works logo. Again, we got the Darling also logo as well. So, and also on stream here, the board I have another Darien board, Darien's 925 full size, just kind of peeking out there. So let's get this board opened up and we'll kind of see what the heck we get. So let's look at my extra goodies in here. I did order some extras when I was opening this. So we also have some gaskets, and then we have our little feet. So put those to the side for right now. So this is a pour-on gasket mounted board. So we have the pour-on gaskets, which we will be installing on the board as we go through the build. So I have another extra pour-on gasket. So we'll put that to the side. It looks like we have way more than we need, which is really nice. So big thanks to Darien on that. We also have the little clear adhesive feet. So this board, it came with one PCB and an aluminum plate. So I have the aluminum plate right here. We'll take it out in a second. And then we also have our PCB. I'll take that out. So one thing I do when I order boards on Group Buy, I always get an extra. With this particular board, I also ordered an extra plate. I can easily have a plate made, but I just like having extra plates on hand, and I have a second PCB. Especially when you have custom boards like this, I just like having the extra PCBs, especially when the PCBs have unique designs and things like that. I like having spares. So that's why I have the extras. So I'll put those on. I'll put the extra PCB and plate back in the case. And then let's get the actual star of the show, which is the actual board itself. So let me pull this out. I literally have not seen it in person with my own eyes, so I'm really excited. So we're going to move the case away and really kind of see what this beauty looks like. So we have this cloth here. Oh, and we have the paper. So let's take the cloth away for this particular board. So really kind of cool board. So let's open it up. Oh man, we can see some of the color. I literally have not seen this. This is my live reaction to the board, and this, oh my gosh, this is freaking awesome. So here we go. Here's the actual case itself. So this is a really, so this board is specifically designed for GMK Darling. So we have our fun little character design on the actual internal brass weight. We have the actual logo of the Darling set on the back, and then this is called the O2. So we have that nice O2 logo put on the back of the board. So this is a really, really cool board, and I'm very excited to have it. This was a really cool board. Darian ran it earlier this year, so Darian had a pretty quick turnaround. I think this order was done in like February. So the fact it only took about, I don't know, like 4 or 5 months for this to come is really, really cool. So I'm really excited to have one of these boards on hand, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. So we'll put the case to the side. I want to take a look at our PCB and our actual plate. So let's take a look at both of these, because this is also going to be kind of the heart of our build. So let's get this PCB out. This is my, oh, this is sick. I mean, we have a pink PCB. This is freaking awesome. I don't think I've had a pink PCB in any of my boards. And of course, we have also the custom Darling design put on the back of the PCB. I mean, on the front of the PCB. This is really, really cool. So I really freaking love this. This is awesome. So really, really cool. Let's look at the back. So this board was solder only. So it's kind of looking at the overall design of the board. Oh, cool. We have some extra diodes in case we screw up, which we're not going to do that. We also have, again, more kind of designing. So this is a DNO2 PCB designed by Zeeks, which is really cool. So one thing that's really nice about this particular PCB, there is a ton of layout support. So if you wanted to do ISO, you wanted to do split backspace, you wanted to do, again, a 6.25 U bottom row or 7 U bottom row, step caps lock, again, split left shift. You have the option to do that. So that's really, really nice in terms of looking at those options that this board has. So I really, really like having those options, and I like it when designers include those options on their particular PCBs. And then let's take a look at our plate. So let me get this opened up. And we're just going to rip this bag open. Let's see our plate. So I opted for an aluminum plate on this one. So I am a big fan of aluminum plates and the way I build my keyboards. So really, really cool. So we have our aluminum plate right here, which is fantastic. So really, really cool plate. Again, nice and simple, but it does, again, support, again, step caps lock, and again, the different spacebar bottom rows. We're really going 7U bottom row. That's just how I roll. So we're going to put the plate to the side. We're actually going to put, I'll leave the case over here. So another part we're going to kind of go over are stabilizers. Again, we're just going to be using some Duroc V2 stabilizers. This is a 65%, so we only got 4 stabs. We got a lube. I'm just a big fan of Durocs. Some people criticize them. I think, honestly, if you properly lube Duroc stabilizers, they're perfectly adequate and they sound awesome. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So the first part of our stream is really just going to be dedicated to lubing these stabilizers. So let's get those stabilizers assembled and also lube them up. So, and then we'll put those into the PCB, and then we'll start inserting switches. So let's just kind of get our stabilizer parts out of here. Perfect. So we need a total of 4 stabilizers. And I opted to go for the clear ones. So I really like the clear ones. Let's get enough parts for 4 stabilizers. And then we'll start lubing these stabilizers up. So that's what we're doing here. Let me just get my stab parts. Perfect. And there we go. We got those parts. Perfect. And then let me get the wires. So we're going to need 3 2U wires, and then we're going to need our 7U spacebar wire. Perfect. So we're going to put the rest of the stabilizers back in the bag, folks. And then we're going to, oh, I need my 7U wire. There we go. Oops. Put in the 6.25U one back. That's the one we're not using. So I'm going to put the rest of these parts back in the thing because we can use these for future boards. So pretty cool. So we're only using about half of this stabilizer kit here. There we go. But yeah, so this should be a really relatively simple and straightforward build. Again, this is a Cherry MX build. This isn't an Alps build where it's super, super involved, which is really nice. Again, as much as I love Alps, Alps are also just very involved builds. So it's kind of refreshing when I get to go to Cherry MX builds and have them be super, super simple and super straightforward. So that's going to be super sick. So we're going to put those parts to the side, put that to the side as well. And we're going to kind of focus on lubing our stabilizers. So let's get this out. So that's what we are doing today, folks. So we only got 4 stabs. It's not like we're doing a full size like we did the other day on stream with Linworks Dolphin Max, because that took freaking forever. So pretty cool board. But yeah, again, those of you who are tuning in, thank you so much. Again, it's a nice, fun board. Again, it was really nice being able to get 2 boards from Darian this year. Again, the 925 is super, super sick, and the O2 is super sick. Darian has some really cool projects coming up later this year. And again, he's just a small designer in a small design studio who just kind of does really kind of cool, bespoke, small run boards. So really, really cool stuff. So Darian's been running some really cool boards. So we're just going to lube these stabilizers up, and then we'll get them ready to be attached to the PCB. So nothing too crazy, just nice, simple stuff today. This is a super simple build. This build shouldn't take too long. Again, this is a relatively small board. So we should be here a little over an hour today, so even with the soldering. So soldering will be really quick when we get that going. So probably the part with my MX builds that takes the longest is actually doing the stabilizers, to be completely honest. So we're lubing these stabilizers. Again, these are Duroc V2s, and then we'll kind of revisit our switches and our switch selection as well once we start inserting those into the PCB and the plate. But overall, this has been really cool. So I'm doing a lot of streams lately. These are mostly personal builds. This week I was the last 2 streams I did over the past couple of days have been personal builds. I did Linworks Dolphin Max. I did a Alps Frog Mini Passante, and we're doing the O2 today. These are personal builds for me. I've had a lot of boards I've purchased on Group Buy a few months ago start to come in. So it's just kind of builds galore here for me for my personal collection, which is awesome. So this is a board I definitely want to take to Keeb Life. Again, if you're going to Keeb Life September 6th here in Los Angeles, please come say hello. Again, I'll have a bunch of my Alps builds, and I'm probably going to take a couple of my Cherry MX builds. This is probably going to be one of the Cherry MX builds I take out, because it's just so unique, and so it's such a small run board. And I think it's a very tasteful board for GMK Darling to be on. There was another company, I don't want to name them specifically, but there was a company that also did a Darling themed board, and I didn't think it was as tasteful as this. So I think Darian did a really good job at just kind of his design cues and overall just kind of designing the aesthetic of this particular board, so which is pretty cool. So I think Darian, of the 2 Darling boards that were made for GMK Darling R2, this is probably the more tasteful in terms of how they kind of pay tribute and develop a board specifically for this particular keycap set. So again, GMK Darling is an interesting keycap set, because I know the very first version kind of ran during the height of COVID, and no one really bought it, and during COVID, that was kind of like, there was so much hype around everything, and you really couldn't get GMK and other keycap sets, and then GMK Darling, since no one bought it, and there were so few sets, it just kind of became this overhyped set, and it just kind of, its price also ballooned on the aftermarket. Like, some people were paying north of $500 for Darling, and I think late last year, Novel Keys announced that, like, hey, we're bringing Darling back, we're going to run an R2, and you can get it for the full set and with some modern adjustments to it for MSRP, which is really awesome. So as soon as I heard that announcement, I knew that this was a set I wanted in my GMK collection, and I'm like, of course, we're going to get GMK Darling R2. So really cool set, and it has a lot of modern layout option support that the original R1 didn't. So, and it's nice too that Novel Keys ran it again, and they left the Group Buy open for like a month, and they had a metric truckload of extras that they sold. So now, again, everyone who wanted GMK Darling now pretty much has it in hand, and now people don't have to pay, like, what, $500 for this freaking keycap set? So it's really, really nice that, again, GMK Darling now is widely available for people to have, and you're not paying these ridiculous aftermarket prices for this set. So another thing cool about this board, too, again, Darian is based out of here in Southern California, and he's just a guy. He does this for fun. He just likes designing boards that are like super bespoke, super custom, that he would want to buy himself. So Darian's a really cool dude, and I'm really happy to be able to support a couple of his projects. And there are some boards that he's kind of doing R&D on right now and prototyping that he'll be releasing probably in the next year or two that I definitely want to pick up, and I'm definitely interested in. Now that I have one of his full sizes and 65s, I'm definitely interested in like one of his TKLs. Darian's TKLs are really, really cool. So definitely want to pick up one of Darian's TKLs or 60% later on in the future. So just to kind of round out having a nice DN Works collection. We got Darian is definitely just a designer within the keyboard space that I really enjoy and someone I genuinely like supporting. It's hence why I have 2 of his boards. There's another thing too with Darian's boards too. Similar to what I said on my Linworks Dolphin Max stream and also my Pisante stream, these are very much more on the boutique high end in terms of price point. So that's another thing too with Darian's boards. They're very small run boards, so when you're making less of something, it's going to inherently cost more. So most of Darian's runs are usually less than 100 boards. Sometimes even less than 50 units. Like the 925, there were probably less than 50 of those that were made in the production run. So when you're making less of a board, that makes it inherently more expensive. So this was a board that was a little north of $500. So that's not for the average person within the hobby. Again, are there better and more comparable 65% at much lower price points? Absolutely. But there is a segment of the keyboard hobby and the keyboard audience that these higher end, more expensive boutique boards definitely appeal to. They are not for everybody. So people who kind of gawk at the price, I do not blame you. But again, these boards are made for a very specific type of audience within the keyboard hobby. It's a very, very small audience that is willing to spend $300, $400, $500+ on a keyboard. So that's just kind of the interesting. So and I think the best example within the hobby I can give you is kind of Norbauer. Like Norbauer, if you're not familiar with Norbauer, he primarily focuses on high-end custom topiary keyboards. And again, if you look at Norbauer's price points, they're very, very expensive. And again, Norbauer is catering to, again, a very high-end clientele that's very small. But again, his production runs are also very small for those particular boards. Now, if you want like 65% that are more comparable, again, look at the folks at like QWERTY Keys, or again, the QWERTY Keys Neo line, or like the Test 65 from Divinity, or the Bauer Light. There are a ton of the one great thing about the market today, there are a ton of great 65% options that are in a more affordable price point category. So that's just the one thing about that to know. Again, this is a very expensive board, so it is not cheap. But that doesn't make the board inherently bad, or like you shouldn't buy it. Like, this is a really cool board. If you can find this on Mech Market, definitely pick one up. Like, Darian's boards are really, really cool. So we're gonna be putting we got our stabilizers lubed. Once we're gonna put the stabilizers together, and then we'll lube our wires, and then we'll be ready to put the stabilizers in the actual PCB. So this is gonna be a relatively quick stream today, folks. But yeah, overall, like, really cool board. And I really like just kind of the tasteful design elements that Darian incorporated into this particular keyboard. I think it's a really, really, really nice and kind of elegant board that Darian's put in. And it's going to be a really nice addition to kind of my collection of really cool 65%. Like, this will go really nice next to like my Kohaku, my Mix 65, my 910, like my Boop, like my Matrix Vita. So I got a couple other 65s on group buy coming into. I have the Matrix, MM Studio Class 65. Then I also have the Matrix Labs NOS 65 coming in. So I think that'll kind of round out my 65%. I mean, another great 65% project that's currently running on group buy is the Manta, which is a collaboration between Alex Odos and Bowl keyboards. So like, if you're looking, if you want a higher end keyboard that is in the 65% form factor, that's kind of a more widely available group buy, definitely check out the Manta by Bowl and Alex Odos. It's currently running on group buy. Again, that's also not a cheap keyboard. It's I think it start at $450, and depending on if you want to go with like brass or copper, you could probably round out between $550 or $600. But I think, but again, like when you look at the engineering and the design and work in that particular board, I think it really kind of balances out in terms of what's going on there. So, which is really cool. So we're doing our 7U space wire, getting that lube on there, and we're just gonna again put this really cool board together. So I'm really excited to get this board together. This is a board I've been real eagerly anticipating. And one thing about this particular board, Darren had a couple of different configurations. So I got the full aluminum version, but Darren also had an option where you have the red aluminum bottom, and then you had a polycarbonate top. So those were kind of the two options you had with this particular board. I opted for the full aluminum version. But again, there will be some other users, and also on Darian's social media, who will probably be posting their builds with the polycarbonate top. which is really cool. So it was really kind of nice that Darian kind of gave the people in the group buy different kind of options in terms of configuration. There are also different plate materials that we were able to choose from to help us kind of figure out, again, what type of sound profile and type of feel do we want out of these particular boards. So that's one thing that's really nice about Darian. His boards, again, there is a lot of customization that you can do with them in terms of just kind of how high-end they are. So that's something that is just really, really nice in terms of these boards. So just give me a second. Just getting these stabilizers all lubed up, and we're going to kind of go from there, friends. So awesome, awesome. Perfect. So we're jumping on and getting this particular board in. Awesome. Got that one in. And then we're doing one more stab to put together, and then we'll start screwing these into the PCB, which is really nice. And then we can pretty much start doing plate alignment and switch insertion, which is going to be super, super cool. So here we go. Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a really sick board. I'm really excited for this particular board. So, all right, we're done with our dielectric grease, which is really nice. It's going to be really good. Let me just grab one other thing. There we go. Just wiping off my hands just because I got some lube on my hands. So let's grab the PCB assembly. Perfect. That's going to look super, super awesome. So let's get our screws and our washers out, and then we'll assemble, just get those screws and washers put together, and then we'll, come on, little baggy. God, can I open up a bag? Here we go. There we go. So we need a total of 8 screws for this particular board. So we got 5, 6. Oh, come on, screws. Let's get the, there we go. Let's just see. 8, perfect. All right, we'll put our screws to the side, folks. And then we're going to get our washer. So this is, again, a really cool build. I'm really excited for this one. And again, I've been eagerly anticipating this particular board. So, okay, we got 5 washers, 6. There we go. Cool. All right. Got all of our parts for our stabilizer assembly, folks. So let's get that going. So let's just put these little washers on the actual screws, and then we're going to get going. So we'll get these stabilizers screwed in. So really cool board. But yeah, overall, I think this is just a really interesting project, and it was a really fun project to support. Again, Darian is a small creator. He's a small designer, so it's really nice to support smaller designers who are doing really kind of cool and bespoke things within the hobby. And then that's what I really recommend to kind of people who are a little more novice or new in the hobby. Like, definitely like find like design studios or designers who you really like, or who make stuff, or who have industrial design that you really like, or like approaches or philosophies that you really like within the hobby. I think that's a really good way to do it. So like some of my favorite designers, of course, Darian's one I really enjoy. Of course, Gian. I'm a big Gian fan in terms of what Gian does. Like Elaine over at Singa is really cool. Yuxi over at TGR. Like, there's a lot of really cool people. Like Chicken Man is another one who kind of comes to mind. But it's really kind of cool. Inomushi Key Frank, who's running Key Life, is really cool. So like, there are a lot of really amazing people doing really great design work. And it's really nice to kind of support some of these like smaller independent creators who are doing some really good stuff. So, which is really good. So that's what I just really like. And that's one cool thing about the hobby too, is I've kind of grown in the hobby. What's up? What's up? So it's really, really, really nice. So we're looking at it, folks. So there we go. So we got it. Hello, friends. Hello, hello. So we got some people. So we're building this board here. It's pink, which is really nice. One of my favorite colors. So we're going to start installing these stabilizers for our big stabilized keys, and then we're going to get this show going. What are you doing this? What do you do this? There we go. Awesome. So we're going to do those, and then we're going to go up here. We're doing a full backspace on this one, and then we're doing ANSI enter. Come on, there we go. Awesome. Cool. Nice, nice. Hello, friends. Hello, hello. So, pretty good, dude. Pretty good. Hello, friends. It's having fun on stream, everybody. We're having fun on Twitch. We're having fun. What's up, man? What's up, guys? What's up? All right, there we go. So we're having fun here on stream, folks. So we got our four stabilizers in there. So really cool. I think this PCB is just really fun, especially with that Darling design that's embossed on it, which is really cool. So really fun, friends. Let me get out my screwdrivers now. We're gonna screw in those stabilizers, and then we're gonna get this show going, everybody. So it's gonna be a fun time. So welcome, friends. Again, welcome. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Again, like I said, this is. I've been in the keyboard hobby for a couple of years, and it's just been really fun kind of going on this journey, learning about like industrial design, how circuit boards work, and just kind of doing this kind of self-exploration. I think everyone should have a mechanical keyboard. You don't have to go insane like this one, but they're just, I think, really fun and useful tools that we can kind of have and utilize, because it's the primary way we interact with our computer. So why not have a really nice tool that kind of like features and accentuates who we are as a person? So which I think is really cool. So this is a really cool little board, and like I said, my collection is just kind of crazy. So I mean, my Instagram handle is up there, so if you definitely want to see like just kind of pictures of my like personal collection and stuff that I have on hand, or some of the commissions I've been doing for people, I think that's a really cool thing to kind of do. So it's really nice. I also do like custom keyboard build commissions. So if there's something kind of crazy or high end, or you're not comfortable building a keyboard yourself, I'm happy to assemble it for you, or we can do something kind of crazy high end. I've been doing a lot of commission builds for people. I had a client, very high-end client, reach out to me, and he commissioned 3 very expensive keyboards with me. So it was really nice kind of working with a client where like money was no object, and we can just kind of do something just kind of crazy and insane with their particular boards. So like one of their boards, 2 of their boards have already been delivered to this client. Their third board is over at my Cerakote guy, and it's getting a really cool custom coating. We also had to do some CNC mods on that particular keyboard, which is really cool. So it's really kind of nice just kind of seeing some of those things that are going to kind of come through on that particular keyboard. I can't wait to show you all that one on stream when we actually get it for final assembly to be shipped off to the client. So it's going to be really cool. So, all right. So we got our stabilizers screwed in. So those are all mounted on now. So put our screwdriver away for the moment. All right, let's put that to the side. I just want to put a little more lube in some of these stabilizers just so the wires are not rattling. So we'll have some nice stabilizer sound with this. Let me just put a little bit of lube inside where the wire goes. There we go. Awesome. Cool. But yeah, this is overall really fun build. Like really cool. So it's a really good time. So. Yeah, and also too, we got some like also collaboration builds coming up with some different tech companies, which will be really cool. So I'm really excited to just kind of see how things shape up and see what we can do. So awesome, just putting a little more lube here, and then we'll get this one going. Perfect. All right, we are done with the lube, everybody. Like, again, always use lube, everybody. It's important. You don't want to go raw in life. All right, so we're gonna now what we're gonna do is we're gonna insert the switches into the actual PCB. So I'll put the plate on. We are using an aluminum plate in this particular board. So let me just make sure everything is now on here. So there we go. So we have our aluminum plate, and what we are doing is we are using Gateron Box Ink V2 linear switches here. So really cool switches. It's actually my first time using these in a build, and I wanted something pink just to kind of go with the overall pink design and pink aesthetic. So this is going to be a really cool set of switches that we're going to utilize. So let me just get my first switch in. That'll kind of start holding things in. Perfect. So that's what we got. So I'm just doing my, oh yeah, we have a corner blocker, so we're not doing that very top corner. But let's just get stuff lined up. Come on. Oh, I already bent a pin. Look at that, friends. We don't want that. So, just making sure. Awesome. So it's going to look really cool once we get everything in here. So we're going with a 7U spacebar right here. Awesome. Holding that in. So let's just start putting our switches in to kind of hold stuff in. and it's going to come together really, really well. So I'm really excited for this particular board. So these switches are going to sound awesome. I think that I've listened to sound tests, and these were switches I really, really wanted to use in a build. And I was just trying to look for the right build to use them in. And again, when I had this Darling board, these are really expensive switches. These are probably some of the more expensive switches that Gateron makes. So I just knew that they would be kind of perfect for this particular board because, again, this is a very high-end keyboard. So it's going to go really, really nice in this particular build. So it's inserting our switches, kind of going around the perimeter, making sure everything is good. So I just want to make sure I don't bend any pins as we kind of go along. And yeah, it's going to be really, really nice as we get this one going. So I'm really excited how this board is going to go. Oop, got a bent pin from just storing them. Perfect. So it's going to look really cool once we get this whole thing assembled. All right, so let's get those going. Perfect, perfect. So there we go, friends. All right, yeah, we can kind of see that pink aesthetic coming in, which is going to be really cool. And again, that pink PCB is awesome. So really good stuff. So let's put this stabilized keycap in here, and let's put this other one over here. Perfect. Let's get the rest of this bottom row taken care of. Yeah, this is a really cool little board, really cool assembly, so it's going to be really cool. Awesome, awesome, friends. Cool. Perfect. Let's do, and we're going step caps lock on this particular board, because of course we are. And then what we're going to be doing right here, perfect. Just making sure our switches, and I bent a switch, damn it. I mean, not a switch, I bent a pin. Oh, look at that. Fine. Look at that, everybody. It's okay. We'll do it again. There we go. Awesome. So we're getting it going, everybody. So it's going good, and then we got that one. So look at that, friends. So got, again, most of our perimeter done. We're not putting a switch up here because we do have that top right blocker. So when it's in, we'll have that little logo at the very top. So looking really cool. So let's do our number row. And then we'll do our alphas. So again, this is a very straightforward build. I've been doing a lot of my Alps builds lately on stream, both personal and commission builds, and those are way more involved, and those streams are like 3 or 4 hours. So this, again, this is a relatively quick stream. Cherry MX boards are very, very straightforward. So I really like working with these boards. So someone on stream asked me if I'm not a fan of Cherry MX. I'm like, that's not true. I love Cherry MX boards. Like, again, most of my keyboard collection are based around the Cherry MX form factor. Again, Cherry MX, and I say that, is the switch type. So these are Cherry MX pattern switches, so which is really cool. So we're just kind of making sure everything goes in. So just making sure our pins are all lined up and everything is firmly seated with the plate and the PCB. And I bent another switch, dang it. Oh man. That one. Sure. And you have these two pins that hang out of the bottom of the switch, so you want to make sure both pins poke through the PCB, so when you solder them, they make perfect contact with everything. So, there we go. Now it's starting to look like a keyboard. Look at that. We got our whole perimeter going around. Look at that. That is super, super sick. So we just got our alphas now, and then we'll have pretty much this entire assembly ready for soldering, which is going to be really cool. So really, really like, oh, I already love the sound. Oh, it's going to be so good once we get it mounted in the case and everything. It's going to be sweet. So, all right, we're just making sure we got them all in there. So now we can just do our alpha cluster, and then we'll be good to open up the case and put the gaskets in there, and then we'll solder everything. So it's looking pretty good. So let's get this going. Oh, another pin that's just bent from storage. But yeah, this is a really cool board. Again, this is the DNWorks 02. Really cool board. Again, DNWorks is based out of here in Southern California. So again, he is a Los Angeles based keyboard designer, which is really cool. So And again, this is just going to be a kind of overall, really just kind of great theme for this particular board. So the sports themed around the keycap set GMK Darling, which is probably one of the more iconic keycap sets within the hobby. One of the more sought after ones. So it recently reran, so everyone who wanted the set now pretty much has it in hand, which is really good. So I've had the set for, I say, like 2 or 3 months now. And again, it was literally just waiting for this particular keyboard. So let's do that one. Perfect. Alright, we got a couple more rows of switches, friends, and then we're going to put this assembly to the side, and we'll focus on the actual keyboard case, and we'll put our gaskets in. And then we'll be ready to solder. So that'll be really, really nice. Just making sure. Awesome. That looking pretty good so far. So really good. So we're just kind of putting all these switches in. Again, this is a solder PCB, so we do have to solder these switches in. In the mechanical keyboard hobby, one thing that is interesting, you kind of have 2 options for your PCBs. You can either do a hot swap. Hot swap is really nice because you literally can just put switches in and out without the need to solder. And then, of course, there is solder. Solder is more old school, but especially when you get into the more like enthusiast, more high-end stuff, most of your options are just going to be solder only. That's just kind of a thing. Like hot swap is really nice because it's made it more accessible for everybody. But again, when you get into like the more enthusiast side, the more higher end side of the mechanical keyboard hobby, pretty much solder is the way to go. And you want to make sure you have like a proper like soldering iron set up and things like that. So we're almost there. We got one more row, and then we can take a look at our actual PCB assembly, and we'll put it to the side, friends. But it is looking really good. All right, making sure the pins are all good, and then we'll verify that our pins are unbent. Perfect. Looking good so far. We got 2 more switches. Just make sure those all looked good. So perfect. We'll put these extra ones to the side. We're not using those. But here we go. Here is our PCB assembly. So we have our plate, our switches, our stabilizers, PCB. All right, there we go. What's up, Darian? So thank you for joining. So we got Gateron Box Ink V2 pink linear switches. So these are some of the more expensive switches in Gateron's lineup. So especially considering just how bespoke and high end this board is, Darian, I really wanted a switch that kind of that was pink and kind of matched that kind of bespoke higher end aesthetic. So they're really pretty. They look really good. I think they have a really good sound. So I'll just kind of put them up to the mic. So I think once we get the keycaps on, once we get this mounted, it's going to look really cool. But overall, it's a really, really cool board. So they are actually in the same Gateron lineup as the black inks. So if you've heard black inks, these are very similar sounding, which is really cool. So we have our PCB assembly, which is really nice. I'm looking at all of our pins really quick just to make sure I didn't bend anything. But I think they're all poking through. So I'm going to put my PCB to the side. I want to open up the actual case itself. So, but also just, Darren, I was saying to some of the people on stream earlier, this is a really, really pretty board. I think you did a very tasteful job in terms of your design aesthetic for this particular Darling board. I don't want to name the other company that made a Darling board by name, but their version was not as tasteful as I think your design. So that's really, really nice. I think just your design and approach to it was it's just a much better approach overall. So really, really cool board. So we're going to take it apart because I want to install the gaskets before I actually do the soldering. So, and I also, too, we have poking in. Oh, I love it. And also poking in here, we got the 925 up here with GMK Striker. So I got both of your boards here on stream, so it's really nice. So, but yeah, it's a really cool board. I'm really happy to have one of your full sizes and your 65%. And I mean, eventually I need to round out the collection with a TKL and a 60%. So definitely going to eye 7 extras when you get them. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Probably we should probably end up doing that. But like overall, again, also too, just one thing I want to say too with just general boards too, especially the ones I do on stream. A lot of these boards I feature on stream are boards I paid with my own money. Like this is not a sponsored stream. Yeah, like the designer of this board, Darian, is here, but like he didn't pay me. He didn't send this to me for free. I did pay him with my own money. I do have a couple. So I do have some streams coming up in the future where I will have keyboards that were sent to me. But it's mainly for the promotion to kind of encourage people to support the projects because I eventually want to buy those boards myself with my own money, which is pretty interesting. But if I ever do have something that's sent to me, like I will always make very transparent with the audience and say like, hey, like this was sent to me for review, but that's not going to change how I feel about it. Like this Darian very much is a designer I very much support and believe in. So like again, I would if I had genuine criticism, I would like honestly just give it constructively. In a way, but just kind of looking at the board, I see where our gaskets go, which is kind of cool. So we'll get that one going. But I just want to kind of look at the top and bottom pieces of the case. So this is the bottom portion of the case. So this is a full aluminum case with the brass internal weight. So that brass internal weight gives the board a nice weight. Again, we also have that just kind of accent for the actual Darling key set. And then on the back too, this board is called the O2. So really, really nice, just kind of overall design aesthetic. So something I really, really enjoy. So we'll put the top case to the side over here, just make sure next to my PCB, and then we'll kind of look at the top case as well. So really, really nice in terms of like the machining, overall finishing is the anodization is like spot on with this particular board. So we have our top right blocker with the GMK Darling symbol, which is really nice. So. And again, that top right blocker just screws in, which is really nice. So that could be removed for something else. Or heck, if you wanted to make your own 3D printed one, I guess you could do it. So it's really nice. There is a lot of customization on this. Also, Darren, if you're still on here, I had a quick question. Is this just a standard, is this the same PCB that's compatible with the TGR 910ME? Because I'm looking at this PCB and it looks very similar like the PCBs I have like in my 910 or like my MiC 65. So it's kind of nice, like this is just kind of like, I mean, the custom design is really cool, but I think it's really awesome too, like, if someone were to like break a PCB and didn't have one, like, I think it'd be pretty easy to get like a replacement PCB for this. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I could probably pull out one of them. I have like 5 or 6 of them on hand, so I think at a later date I'll probably like play around with that PCB and see if it'll fit, because it'd be kind of cool to like let you know, like, hey man, like a standard 65% like bottom mounted USB PCB would fit, which would be really sick. So that would just help people in terms of like, hey, if they want an extra PCB and they didn't get one in the group buy. Okay, it's longer here than like a oh yeah, I see it is longer than like my Kohaku too. So yeah, I definitely could try it with the Kohaku too, which would be fun. So I don't know, we'll see. We'll definitely have some fun with it. But we're gonna mount the gaskets here, which is gonna be really cool. Okay, quick question, Darren. I see we have inserts for the gasket on the top case. Are we also mounting gaskets on the bottom case portion as well? So are we doing on the top and bottom case? I'm assuming so. So let me see if I have enough. All right, yep, both. Okay, cool, awesome. So we're doing both on this one. So yeah, this is another thing too in terms of mounting style. This is a gasket mounted PCB. So that's gonna make it a nice, very kind of soft typing experience. I'm gonna get my tweezers out just to make sure I put these gaskets on correctly. So it's very reminiscent of like a board like the Kohaku. This single Kohaku utilizes a again, gasket mounting system. Gaskets are really nice. I'm going to start with the bottom case. I think those are a little bit easier for me to get my hands on. So there we go. So we'll put them right here. So we're going on the top and the bottom case. So perfect. So doing top and a bottom case. That's going to make it, I think this is going to give this board a really nice typing feel. So doing top and bottom gaskets, which I think is a really nice touch. And again, these pouring gaskets are pretty easy to get your hold of, which is pretty good. So I have a total of 8 of these gaskets. So it's nice that you're going to have 4 on the top portion of the case, 4 on the bottom, and the same on the top case. You have a total of 8 gaskets holding this, holding that PCB in to get together. So they'll give it a nice bouncy typing feel and a little bit softer, which is going to be really nice. So, all right, we got those mounted. Let's get these bottom ones done. And then we're going to go to our top case. And once the gaskets are installed, then we'll go to our actual soldering assembly as well. So this is pretty cool. So it's a really nice board. So again, this for anyone who's tuned in, this is the Darien Works. Didn't get that one all the way on. This is, sorry, DN Works 02. So DN Works is a small design studio based out of Southern California. They primarily focus on keyboards for more kind of that are more bespoke, more high end, and also very small production runs. One thing I like to just kind of quote from the actual website: the designer just wants to make boards that he would buy himself, that are just super bespoke, super high end, super custom. So I have a couple of them. This is another one of the DN Works boards that was released this year. This is the 925 full size. So really, really cool design studio. Again, they have some really cool projects coming up in the future. Darian has made TKLs. He's made 60%, 65s. A ton of different things. He's also done some Topre boards, which is really cool. I know he's I know they're in R&D right now. I know they're prototyping a Topre board and some TKLs coming up. So it's really kind of cool having some of these like smaller run production boards, and being able to support these like smaller designers and smaller creators. And it's also really cool that like Darian is based out here in Southern California. I do like support. It's really nice when I get to support people who are local to kind of where I live, which is really nice. So now this is where the top case is going to get interesting. All right. Just want to mount these ends, get my tweezers back out. So we just want to make sure that those are nice and seated. Perfect. So, and again, this one thing that was also really just another kind of shout out to kind of DN Works is the turnaround in this board is relatively quick for a group buy. The group buy ran in like February, and it's August, and these were delivered. So that's actually pretty good for like the turnaround of getting these boards delivered, about like 5 to 6 months. It's not like the horror stories of during COVID where people would wait like 2 years for a board. So it's really, really nice just how quick Darian's turnaround is. And again, another thing too, just about the designer Darian, like he's just a guy. He does this for the fun on the side. So I think that's really just kind of cool that like he takes the time during his free time to design these boards, to take the orders, to deal with the manufacturers, and ultimately fulfill and deliver the boards to the people who purchase them. So it's really kind of cool. And one thing I just know too, some people are kind of nervous about the group buy model. I will be completely honest. If we could had ways to avoid the group buys, I would absolutely. That would be awesome. But just kind of the nature of the game, especially with these smaller run boards, it's just not possible to do something like that. So the group buy model is kind of the only way to go. So, but thankfully, like Darian is for his group buys, or he's very transparent on like updates with like the manufacturer. If there is a delay, he lets us know, or sometimes there may be an error on the manufacturing side and they need to correct it, and he lets us know if there's just kind of any updates. So that's the one kind of nice thing as we were waiting for these boards. Darian always just kind of had routine updates for us as like the buyers of this particular board as to like what was the status of manufacturing, status of shipping, and things like that. So really, really, again, really nice design studio I like supporting. And I feel very fortunate to be able to have 2 of his boards in my personal collection. So, and also Darian, I hope to see you at Cube Life, my man. Definitely going to be bringing out the 925 and the 02. They're probably going to be my only Cherry MX builds I bring out because I'm mostly going to be bringing out my Alps boards. So I think just to kind of showcase boards that are different and unique on the Cherry MX side, I definitely want to bring your boards to kind of showcase the cool Cherry MX stuff that I have. But when I go to Cube Life, mostly going to be Alps. But I think I was talking with you on Discord. I'm like, there's a board you're working on. I definitely want to convert to Alps, which would be so cool to have like one of your boards and be an Alps board, which would be really sick. So that's just kind of really cool. Definitely, when that board eventually comes to market, we'll definitely look into some more details on making it even more insane. So awesome. Yeah, that one didn't. Did that one? That one didn't go in the way I wanted. Give me a second. Sometimes these gaskets are a little stubborn to get in there. Perfect. All right, one more gasket and then we're good to start soldering. So that'll be pretty good. So there we go. All right, almost there. Perfect. Got our gaskets in here. Just pushing them down, making sure they're properly adhered to the case. Perfect. All right, we're going to put the case to the side now. We're going to fire up the soldering iron. We're pretty much good to go. All right, let's get my soldering iron good to go. Let's put the case, we're going to move the case out of the way. and we'll focus on our PCB assembly. So, again, for those who may be a little bit newer to keyboards, again, we're going to solder in all of our switches. Every switch has 2 contact pins that need to make contact with the PCB. So we got about 65 switches, so about 130 pins we got to solder. So let me fire up the soldering iron, get my soldering iron tip out here, and we'll get this one going. So let me just dial in my temperature really quick, just so we don't fry everything. There we go. Cool. So we got that, and I also got this little vent too. Especially when you're soldering, you want to have be like in a well-ventilated space, or get one of these vents that kind of suck up the fumes. You don't want to be breathing that crap in. So let's get it going. So let's do it. There we go. Cool. All right, I got my soldering wire in here, and we're gonna get this going. I can make pretty quick work of a solder board, so it should probably take like 10 or so minutes once we get her going. So let me just clean off my soldering tip, and we're good to go. All right, friends. So what I do like with soldering, I usually do the 4 corners first, just to kind of to hold everything in. And then we just kind of go from there, and we just kind of work our way around the board. So, all right. So the little thing you're hearing, that's my thing. Pretty much, dude. I mean, yeah, we were using heat. I mean, this soldering iron's like 400 degrees Celsius, so it's freaking hot. So it's a pretty cool one. I really enjoy it. All right. So we got that first corner in. We're gonna go over our next corner over here and do our backspace. Those 2 are done. Let's do this corner. Perfect. Let's do this corner right here. So 400 degrees Celsius, I don't know, like 700 degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, this soldering iron is pretty hot, so. Yeah, trust me, I've had my fair share of burns on this damn thing. So, yeah, if you're definitely into soldering, please be careful. You don't want to burn yourself. Yeah, I was soldering like a few months ago, and I basically accidentally touched it with my fingers, and I had a chunk out of my index finger for like a month. That was not fun. So yeah, definitely be careful if you're getting into soldering, like, whether it's electronics or anything. Please be careful. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything bad, but it took off like a good layer of skin. I mean, it's fully healed now, but like, never making that mistake again. So yeah, definitely be careful when you're soldering, because trust me, as someone who has been burned by a soldering iron, it's not fun. So, all right, I'm just doing my bottom row, and then we'll kind of work our way around. So, perfect. Alright, just doing our bottom row. We'll make pretty quick work of this board once we really get going. Perfect. Alright, we're going to do our edges now, do our modifier keys, and then we'll do our main number and alpha cluster on here. So we're making pretty quick work of it, folks. This is a pretty, soldering part is probably I think the most intimidating one. Yeah, I don't want to burn someone's eyes out. I mean, that sounds like not a good time. So, but yeah, you gotta be really careful with your soldering iron. That's just my recommendation. And also, too, please be in a well-ventilated space if you get into soldering, or have like one of these little solder vents. As you can see, it's taking the smoke away. You don't want to be breathing this crap in, because solder is based around like tin and lead, and you don't want to be breathing that crap in. So that's just my little safety. That's my little safety TED talk on soldering. Just use common sense at the end of the day. So, all right, just doing our sides really quick. And making really quick work of this board, and then once we get to the numbers and alphas, this is going to go really quick. Awesome, let's just get this one right here, and the enter is always kind of weird. Perfect. Awesome. All right, now we can just kind of do our main cluster, and then we're going to be pretty much burning through these. Yeah, like I said, soldering is not hard. Once you figure it out, it's pretty simple, and you can make quick work of stuff. So, and again, most of the keyboards I work with are going to be solder only. But I can make pretty quick work of a board. I mean, I've done a marathon session where we've done a ton of them. Oh, Daniel, I know who you are, dog. I know. Yeah, dog, I know. I got you. Yeah, Danny, we missed you. We missed you at Comic-Con, man. We did all kinds of crazy stuff. It's crazy. You're like a proper adult now. You're a dad now, which is weird. So crazy stuff. All right, we're just going through here. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so we're just doing our number row, and then once the number row is done, we'll move on to the alphas, and then we should be pretty much ready to start installing the PCB into the case. And then we'll put on our keycaps to kind of bring everything together. This is a pretty quick build we're doing here on stream, so that's the one nice thing about it. So I want to pretty much have the whole perimeter of the board done. Awesome. Let me just get more solder out of here, out of the leads. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. If you guys, you know who to call if you want to go to Comic-Con. I'll let you know, dude. Oh, yeah, dude. Let me know, dude. I'll definitely be hitting you up, my man. So, here we go, friends. So, we got pretty much our whole perimeter. So, we just need to do our alpha cluster now, and then we're going to be pretty much done. So, yeah, I'll definitely shoot you a text, my man. I'd love to coordinate and grab lunch or something, or grab a brewski. I got you, my man. So, awesome. Let's get it going. So, now we're going to make pretty quick work of these alpha clusters, folks. So, and then we'll be ready for final assembly. So, pretty good stuff right there. Awesome, awesome. Perfect. Moving on down, so. Perfect, perfect. You're almost done with this row, and then we'll have 2 more rows of switches we got to solder, and then we should be pretty good to go. Yep, looking good. Yep. Looking good. Just making sure alignment is looking pretty good. Yeah, dude, it's a fun time. But yeah, but Danny, if you're definitely interested in a mechanical keyboard, like, definitely reach out. I can show you some. I could definitely be down to like I know you're a big Warhammer guy. We could definitely do something like Warhammer themed or what have you, or something crazy like that. So we can do some. I did like an Evangelion themed one. I've done a Pulp Fiction keyboard. Like I have a Pulp Fiction keyboard literally right here off camera. So guys, we can do some pretty crazy stuff. So that's why I like high-end custom stuff. Alright. We're on our second to last row, friends, so we're making pretty quick work of the board. Cool. Making our way there. Alright, almost there, friends. Alright, let's check in the chat. Danny, you are like the ultimate nerd, and I absolutely love it. And again, I'm in a hot, like, I freaking love that, my man. So, that is so freaking cool. Awesome, awesome. coming around. All right. Almost there, friends. We got about 6 more switches, and then we can kind of put this in the case and really have the personality of the board come out. Really have that personality come on out for this board. So this is a really cool board. I'm really excited to kind of see it. And again, I love having the pink PCB. I think that's a really... Darren, you're still on here, my man. Like, I really love the pink PCB. Awesome. We got 3 more switches, and then we're done with soldering. Cool. Last switch. Perfect. All right, let me just clean off my soldering tip. Turn off the soldering iron. Make sure I don't burn my fingers off. So, all right, let's put the vent to the side. We're done with that. Let's roll with my soldering wick, and then let's kind of see how this shaped up. I just want to double check my solder point, see if I missed anything. That's always just something I like to do, making sure we got all the points we need, and I think we are good. So, awesome, awesome. So we are fully soldered up. That is our PCB assembly. So we got a pink PCB, we got aluminum plate, and we got these really cool pink switches. So let's pull out my case assembly back, and we're gonna start us doing final assembly. And then we can kind of hear some of the sounds of how this board sounds. So we're just gonna essentially, the assembly for the actual keyboard just kind of rests in there like that. So with those pour-on gaskets we installed, it's gonna give it a nice little bouncy typing feel, make it nice and again, just very pleasant board to type on. And then we're gonna do our top case. So let's just make sure. All right, we got our top case. Let's get our screws, and then let's get my screwdriver, and then we'll screw the top and bottom cases together. So there we go. So let's get a couple of these screws started, and then we'll do everything else. So let's get that going. There we go. Perfect. Oh, thank you, my man. Thanks, Darren. I'll definitely make sure we'll do that. Oh yeah, dude, it's a super sick keyboard. I'm like really, I mean, once we get the keycaps on, you'll really kind of see the theme of it come together. And this keycap set, again, this keycap set is one of the more kind of, I say more sought after, more iconic keycap sets within the mechanical keyboard hobby. So this, oh yeah, no, like, yeah, the designer Darian's really cool. Again, he's based here in Southern California, which is really nice. And again, Darian, I hope you're at Key Life, my man. I'd love to finally meet you IRL and just, again, just give you a big shout out and just say thank you, my man, for all that you do, man. So it's really cool. So we got our screws in here, just not going too tight, and then we'll kind of be able to see that final assembly. So perfect. Let me get my little rags here just to kind of wipe it off, just to get all my grummy fingerprints off of this beauty. So also we got to put our feet on. So let's put our little rubber feet on. So let's get our little rubber feeties on, and then this thing won't be sliding around on my desk. So there we go. So we got these little clear rubber feet that really don't hinder the look of the red bottom. Yeah, it's a fun time. Hey Darren, I hope you can make it, my man. It'd be really cool. But like, even if you can't, my man, like these will probably be the only 2 Cherry MX boards I take to the meet, with everything else being Alps, because I primarily want to showcase my Alps builds. But like on my Cherry MX boards, when I go to meets, like I want to bring something that's different. Like I went to the Divinity meet, and I didn't bring my Kohaku because I knew there'd be a ton of Kohakus there. And lo and behold, there were like 7 Kohakus at the freaking Divinity meet. Like, as cool and rare as that board is, like the Kohaku is like when you go to a meet, like there's usually a table full of Kohakus. So I'm like, I like to bring things that are different or that people have not seen. So I definitely, when I go to Key Life, these are going to be probably the only 2 MX boards that I bring, and everything else is going to be my Alps stuff. So, oh yeah, you're right. Definitely want to align those gaskets. All right, I'm going to loosen up the screws, and we'll get that one going. So just loosen up the screws just so we can get those gaskets aligned. So we'll just loosen them up a little bit. Perfect. All right, yeah, we're doing good on time today, so we should be out of here in the next like 15-ish minutes. So pretty good. So we're just loosening the screws just so we can get that. Yeah, there we go, friends. Awesome. So there we go. Let's get our keycap set out and just kind of review the keycap selection. This is a set called GMK Darling. I got the full keycap set. I got all the extras. I got the full kit. So let me put on some of the corner ones first. So this is the box that comes in. So this is from a company called GMK. They're based out of Germany. One thing about them, their packaging absolutely sucks. I hate that. I hate their packaging. Like, they say they use these like really like cheap boxes, and I'm like, whatever. So, but yeah, I also got the metal artisan. So this is an aluminum keycap that's gonna go on here. So it's gonna be like one of my like. Oh yeah, you weren't joking, Darren, about lining crap up. I'm gonna undo a lot of these screws here. All right, we're gonna take out a bunch. Yeah, you weren't joking about the alignment. Yeah, well, it's weird. I don't know, like GMK, like it's weird. They're a plastic. I mean, they don't just produce keycaps. They produce anything out of plastic. So they're a plastics manufacturer. So they say they use this packaging to be environmentally friendly. I'm like, okay, GMK, if you really wanted to save the environment, you would shut down your business because you would stop making things out of plastic. So it's just, Danny, these keycap sets are from a company called GMK. Their keycaps are very expensive. So they're like the Louis Vuitton or like Gucci in terms of keycaps. Like they're on the very pricey end. Like one of their keycap sets can run you anywhere between like $130 to like $200+. So like they're very, very expensive for keycaps. So, and part of the reason their keycaps are so expensive is you're paying European labor costs, and you're just dealing with the higher cost of doing business based out of Europe. Like if they were to move their production over to China, like things would probably be a little bit cheaper. But again, the company was very much committed to remaining in manufacturing everything in Germany. So it's just a fun little quirk because they like to say they're being environmentally friendly. I'm like, no, dude, you make stuff out of plastic. You're not saving. If anything, you're hurting the environment. So, yeah. So we're just I'm taking Darian's advice before I kind of screw things in. I want to get things properly aligned. Because yeah, you're right. You weren't joking, Darian, with that keycap alignment. Yeah. I mean, it's cool that they're manufacturing in Germany, but it just inherently makes it more expensive. Give me a second. I got to look up the GMK Darling layout logo. Okay. There's one keycap. I always forget what it looks like. So, all right. If I can put my backs, I'm going to put just kind of my perimeter keycaps on, and then we'll just kind of figure out kind of the alignment for stuff. Okay. We're going to put our bottom row stuff on. In our perimeter just to make sure everything is going good. So, oh yeah, we're going to go with that backspace, but perfect. Now we're just going to do these perimeter keycaps first just so we can have a better idea of how we're going to put these keycaps on. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm just going to do it a little bit. I'm also just kind of a masochist and a glutton for punishment, Darren. So, do I have the pink ones? Oh, we're good. All right, cool. Just looking at my keycaps. Perfect. I'm just trying to align everything, so I'm also just kind of crazy. So if there is an easier way to do it, I absolutely agree, Darian, but I'm also not the... Okay, wait. Give me a second, friends. We're trying to figure these... They don't have... These are like the legends that don't have like all the labels on them. There we go. Cool. All right. I'm just putting these ones on. Cool. And then, there we go. Cool. All right, let's line this crap up. Let's put these keycaps to the side. And let's just figure how we can line stuff up. So I'm just going to slide this over a little bit. Perfect. See how that looks. Okay, we're going to move over a little bit to this side. Yeah. So it's getting that alignment. So yeah, Darren, you weren't joking about that. So, all right. Let's get a couple of the screws in just so we can get things kind of held down. Perfect. All right, let's see if that worked. All right, we're too low. My bot, I just gotta slide it up. I think side to side, we're good, but we just gotta slide it up. The gap at the top is a little too big, so that is all good. So this is, once this adjustment, I don't plan on taking this board apart. So once it's together, it is together till the end of time. So I only got to do this once. So let's take that top case off and let's slide this up a little bit. Okay. Let's see if that is a little bit better. All right, I think we got it. Let's just kind of squeeze and hold everything together, and let's screw those in, and I think we're pretty good. So, got that one. Let's get this top corner in, and then we're good. I think we should be all held in. All right. Yeah, it's a super... Yeah, it's super sick. I really, really love it. I think it's... Perfect. All right. Yeah, we're good. There's no interference with the keycap, so we are good to properly screw the case together. So it's a super small detail. I really love it. Damn it. You're right, Darren. Give me a second. Let me do my right alt. Damn it. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Darren. It's not exactly where we would want it. Yeah, we got to scoot it over just so slightly. Damn. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. So let's get that going. Let's make sure there's no other screws around here. So, all right, we got to unscrew it again. It's all good. Hey, it's part of the process. Okay. I don't know. I'm just going to, I don't want to scratch anything, and I'm also like a glutton for punishment, so we'll slide it over a little bit. It's fine. Sides of them. I want to do it right. Come on. Get out of there, screws. There we go. All right. Let's slide her over a little bit again. All right. I think that should be good. Let's try it again. All right. Let's try this alignment again. Yeah. All right, we got it. We're good. Oh man, this is I mean, hey, it's part of the process. So every board has its quirks. So we're just kind of holding and squeezing everything in just so we can get those two corner screws. And I think we should be good. All right, let's just see that. All right, just gotta slide that. My metal novelty is still sliding a little bit. It's still interfering, so just gonna loosen it up a little bit. Yeah. All right. Cool. Just making sure, everybody. So just want to get this alignment just right. All right. I think that's gonna be good. All right. Let's put that screw in and let's get that in there. So. Cool. All right. I think we're pretty much aligned up. Put this other corner screw in there, and I'll just do one last look, and then we'll put those final 4, and then we'll do the rest of the keycaps. You can kind of see that theme coming together with this particular board. All right, we're good. All right. So yeah, thanks Darian for being on chat. Like that definitely, I would not have noticed that as an issue. It's something I had to be aware of when we put this together. So I think we are all aligned, and I don't ever plan to take this apart again. So this is how this board is going to be for the foreseeable future. So let's just get those in, and we'll get these keycaps in here, and we should be out of here probably the next 10 or so minutes, folks. That took a little bit longer than I thought it would. All right, just tightening them up. Perfect. All right, we are assembled. So let's start doing our alpha cluster here. So that's what we're going to be doing here. So we're going to get, so this is very much a pink themed board. So really, really nice. Oh yeah, looking good. Look at that. So we got the Japanese Hiragana sub-legends, which is really nice. So that kind of fits in with the theme. I wanted to make sure when I got this board, I made sure to get the kit that had the Japanese sub-legends, just to kind of add to that further kind of theme, anime theme of this particular keyboard. So pretty cool. So when we do things live on stream, we're kind of seeing it live and can't really edit things out, so it's all good. There we go. Oh, it's going to sound fantastic. So we're using a special enter on this one, and we're going to put some of the novelties on it. Perfect. All right, it is coming together. All right, last row for the alphas, and then we're going to figure out some of the novelties and what spacebar I want to use, because I have some spacebar options. I definitely want to get creative with it. All right. Perfect. All right, that's going to be our main part right there. So we're kind of done with that portion. And that portion for right now. So I want to look at space bars, and I'll be completely honest, I want to go with the base kit comes with a pink one. I really like the dark maroon, so we're going to do a dark maroon spacebar on this one. Because I really just want the only white accent to be that enter. So we're going to go with the maroon spacebar on this one. Spacebar sounds fantastic. Look at that. So I think that's the only part of the spacebar kit I really needed. I bought this little kit just for that one spacebar. It's all good. And the novelties is where we're going to kind of play around with and have some fun, because I think there's some really cool novelties here. So the enter, of course, we're going to go with that Darling enter. So my alt, I'm going to go with, I'm going to put that back on the keycap set. We're going to use these Darling ones for our alts. There we go. Yeah. I don't know, man. We'll see. But because I mainly want the white accent to be that novelty, that aluminum keycap. So I really like the maroon and the pink. And I really just want that one white accent to kind of accentuate everything. So now I need to look at my novelty kit and figure out how we're doing this. Okay. Those are all R1. I need to have any R2s? I have R3 and R4s that we're going to do right here. Okay, so we're going to do novelties on these two keycaps. So, awesome. So, let's figure that out. Alright, so for this one, oh, even better. So, Darren, I'm going to show you one of the novelties I'm going to use. It's going to just be perfect for this board. So, one of the novelties says O2 on it. So, I'm going to make that my... I'm going to put that right there. So, that's going to be the O2. I'm going to use one of these. Yeah. Right there, and then one of the Windows keys. Give me a second. Perfect. I mean, if I want to change keycaps, it's fine, but I'm not disassembling the board itself. So, I don't know. I'll play around with it, but I think that's how we're going to go with it for right now. So let me just kind of put this stuff to the side. But here we go, friends. That is the DNWorks O2 keyboard. So, really, really cool board. We have pretty much the full keycap set. So we have the base set, we got the spacebar, we have the novelties. I also got the aluminum artisan for this, which is really cool. So that artisan is super, super sick. So that's a full aluminum keycap right there. So so that's going to be really, really nice. I really like how this all came out. It looks really, really nice. So let's do a quick little sound test on this puppy. Ah, super clacky. All right, I'm going to move my microphone down just so we can get a nice clear sound. So here we go. All right, friends, move my microphone back up here where it goes. Give me a second. There we go, friends. All right, so, but yeah, there we go, friends. That is the DNWorks O2. So, really, really cool board. This was made specifically for GMK Darling. And again, that back looks awesome. It has a bunch of my grummy fingerprints. I'll wipe it off, make sure it looks nice. But this board is awesome. So that's going to conclude our stream, everybody. For those of you who tuned in, thank you so much. The VOD of the full stream will be on my YouTube channel at Finley Design Works. So again, if you want to watch the full stream, it'll be up on YouTube, everybody. So thank you so much, everybody. Again, have a great evening, everybody.